the first question that is put to me is, are Belgium's extraordinary tax rates among the highest in the OECD? You bet. Ever going to shrink? Not in my lifetime. Belgium is a three-tier country. You got the Wallonia, you got the Flanders, and you got the Brussels. And each of them have their own, structure in taxation, whatever. But overall, I give Belgium a D in income tax. On a corporate tax, I give it a B because just moving from 33.9 to, I think, eventually 30, and then in 2020, they're going to be down to, I believe, 25%. So I give it a B. Value-added tax, I give it a C. Okay, UK is at 15, Belgium is at 21. I don't see why Belgium, being such a small country, need to have such a high value-added tax. Social security tax, a D. Dividend tax, a D. Excise tax, which I firmly believe it's okay. They get a C for that. Property tax transfer, I give it a D. As you can see, there's not much property activity here, Belgium. But the inheritance tax gets an F. And I'll tell you why it gets an F. And I'll get to the other tax structures later. I call it the graveyard robbery. And I'll give you the worst case scenario. And Wallonia has always been the worst case scenario in Belgium, okay? Brussels is not much behind. And I'm telling you, Flanders a wee bit slightly behind, but none of them...
Sorry, do you have different inheritance taxes?
I give you.
Wow, that's interesting.
Okay, this is the story here. I'll give you the worst case scenario. I won't go into the details. On 0 to 12,000 euros, and if it's a lien direct, means your direct sibling, your children, and your wife, spouse, is taxed at 3% starting. Then as you move from 12,500 to 25, you get taxed at 4. Then there are three other smaller thresholds, 5, 7, and 10. But this is the real killer. 150 to 200,000, you get hit at 14%. 200,000 to 250, you get 18%. From 250,000 to 500,000, you get hit for 24%. And if you give away more than €500,000, you get a whopping 30%. Now, yeah, that's how you get hit here in Belgium. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Belgians that are. If you plan to die in Belgium, this is what you're going to face.
Okay.
I don't intend to die in Belgium. Okay. Okay. I have no intention of dying in Belgium. I live here, but I will leave just before my death. The sad story is, I think 2 months ago, I attended a seminar. It was a law firm, I won't name it, based in Zaventem. And, lawyers, accountants, they always have a solution to a problem, always. And it's always the rich people that can afford to hire these smart accountants and half lawyers. So this is the game in town. He was telling us, if you pay me, I'll give you an advice. Initially, I won't charge you anything, but when you take me on, this is my fee, whatever. He says the structure is this. You create a company, and the company shares are divided 50% your wife, and then the remaining shares are being divided by how many children you have. Okay, so you've got 2 children, so it's 50, 25, and 25. Okay? And it's very simple. You put all your assets into that company, and then you hand over the shares to your children and your wife, but you still have control over the money. Okay? Now, not every person in this country is a middle class, who has savings of maybe 200, 500,000, they are not the people that can afford to hire all these smart lawyers and accountants. So that is why I give it a total F, and I don't believe Belgium is going to move on any of these issues, because the next question here to me is, will Flanders and Wallonia converge or distance further apart in economic liberalization? I don't think so. They are not going to converge, they're not going to distance, they're just going to be the same, all right? Because I don't believe it's just Belgian politicians. I think politicians from all over the world do not understand economics. Politics and economics are the two sides of the flip coin. You cannot separate politics from economics and vice versa. And whether you're a politician from X country or Y country or Z country, they have never understood and never will understand economics. And in their mind, they believe that good politics generally leads to good economics. I say no. Generally speaking, good economics equates good politics. And this is what the politicians in our generation, in our era, fail to understand. And it's economic growth that actually creates revenue. If you don't have economic growth, you can never get out of the problem of creating revenues. And this has been the malaise of Western society. Okay, and I see countries like Greece, Belgium, and I'll give you a prime example. If you go into town towards the station, you'll see the Palais de Justice. Now, those scaffoldings have been on that Palais de Justice for as long as I've been in Belgium. And you know what? The three parts of Belgian government, the Brussels, the Wallonia, and the Flanders, they disagree on the budget because apparently it's going to cost them 500 million euros. That's the state of Belgium, okay? All right? If they can't, three of them agree on what to do with the Palais de Justice, and I'm sure King Leopold is turning in his grave because at that time when he built it, it was probably the largest structure in Western Europe. It's sad. And I'm scared to go in there because I think one day that big ceiling is going to fall on my head. So I stay away, not only inside, but I even stay outside when I'm driving by. Okay? And the other thing what politicians don't understand, and I keep telling everybody, that you cannot make the poor rich by making the rich poor. It simply is the wrong premise. And that's the reason why I tend to be sort of allergic to politicians. Okay? I'm not a politician. I'm a businessman, but I'm an economist. And I'm proud to be a good economist because my professor was Dr. Arthur Laffer, who's probably one of the most renowned economists right now in America. He's back again. He did the Reagan tax cuts. He got the Margaret Thatcher tax cuts going, and he also is right now influential with the Trump tax cuts. So the bottom line is this. When I finish with what I'm saying, is politicians should recognize that people don't work to pay taxes. They work to earn what they can after tax. The incentive propels them to work, save, and invest. And I rest my case.
Okay. Thank you very much.